What if you could board a train in Spain and step off in Africa? It sounds like science fiction, but for over 40 years, engineers have been chasing that exact dream. A tunnel across one of the world's most volatile seabeds, linking two continents that have never been joined by land. Now that dream is resurfacing, deeper than the Channel Tunnel, more complex than any rail system on Earth. This is the Gibraltar Tunnel, and it's not just a megaproject. It's a test of politics, geology, and the limits of what's possible. The Strait of Gibraltar is just 13 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, and yet no one has ever built a tunnel beneath it. It's one of the most ambitious infrastructure ideas in modern history, a link between Tangier and Tarifa, bridging the gap between the European Union and the African continent. Spain and Morocco first proposed it in 1980, but 4 decades later, it's still just a dream on paper. Now, with new funding, updated tech, and shifting global alliances, that dream may be back on the table. But reawakening a dream is one thing. Turning it into steel, stone, and rail, that's something else entirely. On paper, it's a simple idea. Build a tunnel that carries high-speed trains beneath the sea, linking Europe and Africa in under 30 minutes. But behind that idea is a much bigger vision. This isn't just about transport, it's about geopolitics, economics, and reshaping trade across the Mediterranean. If completed, the Gibraltar Tunnel would be the first fixed link between two continents separated by open sea. It would connect the Spanish rail network to Morocco's growing infrastructure, and, by extension, to West Africa, the Sahel, and even future BRICS corridors. Think of it as a new Silk Road, submerged beneath the Atlantic winds. And while air travel still dominates, this tunnel promises something air never can: constant, uninterrupted, ground-level movement of people and cargo, without borders or bottlenecks. For Spain, it could unlock billions in new commerce. For Morocco, it could cement its position as Africa's northern gateway. For the world, it could be a proof of concept that even the most politically and technically difficult projects can become real. But while the vision is bold, the terrain is brutal. At first glance, the Strait of Gibraltar looks like an ideal place for a tunnel. Short distance, close proximity, stable economies on both sides. But underneath the surface, it's chaos. The strait drops to a depth of over 900 meters, far deeper than the English Channel or Japan's Seikan Tunnel. And the seabed, it's unstable, fractured, and constantly shifting due to seismic activity. That's why engineers have had to rethink everything. Instead of a straight, shallow tunnel, the latest designs propose a curved alignment, diving up to 475 meters beneath sea level, avoiding active fault zones while preserving structural integrity. It would run nearly 40 kilometers, with 2 rail bores and 1 central service shaft, much like the Channel Tunnel. To keep trains safe, the system would need reinforced pressure shielding, state-of-the-art ventilation, and seismic dampening tech. And to build it, that's where things get even trickier. It would require a new generation of deep-water tunnel boring machines, capable of cutting through metamorphic rock under immense hydrostatic pressure, a feat no existing machine has achieved at this depth. Even the staging would be complex. Material ports in both Tangier and Tarifa, floating launch platforms, and rescue access chambers throughout. But despite the challenges, updated feasibility reports from Spanish and Swiss engineers say this project is now technically possible. Barely. And all of this brings us to the real test. Not beneath the sea, but above it. For Spain and Morocco, this tunnel isn't just infrastructure, it's strategy. Right now, trade between Europe and Africa relies heavily on maritime shipping, but that system is vulnerable to port congestion, fuel prices, and global choke points like the Suez or Panama Canals. A fixed tunnel bypasses all of that. It would turn Morocco into a key logistics hub, accelerating exports of phosphate, textiles, and automotive parts to the EU. And in return, Europe could push clean tech, energy, and high-value manufacturing into Africa by rail, not container ships. But it's also political. Spain and Morocco have had a tense relationship, border disputes over Ceuta and Melilla, fishing rights, and immigration enforcement. The tunnel forces both countries to do something rare: collaborate long-term. In 2023, they formally reopened talks to revive the Gibraltar Tunnel project, and by 2025, both sides had recommitted funds for updated feasibility studies. Even the EU has taken interest, because a rail corridor to Africa fits perfectly into Europe's broader connectivity strategy: reduced dependence on sea lanes and diversified supply chains stretching southward. This isn't just a tunnel anymore, it's a continental handshake, or a gamble, depending on who you ask. But ambition alone won't build it. Let's talk timelines. For decades, the Gibraltar Tunnel was buried by bureaucracy. But now, politics are shifting. In 2023, Spain and Morocco announced a historic reset in relations, agreeing to coordinate on trade, energy, and migration. And topping that list, the revival of the Gibraltar Fixed Link. Each country reactivated its binational tunnel companies, Sakegsa in Spain and SNED in Morocco, with mandates to update studies, secure financing, and prepare for pre-construction. Spain has pledged millions in public investment, while Morocco is courting foreign capital, particularly from China and the Gulf, both eager to secure future infrastructure influence in North Africa. By 2026, both nations expect to finalize engineering plans. By 2030, excavation could begin. And if that holds, the tunnel could open by 2040, but timelines this ambitious rarely hold, especially beneath the sea, and especially between countries with complex pasts. Still, for the first time in years, both sides are moving in the same direction. And if they succeed, the impact won't stop at two shores. If the Gibraltar Tunnel is built, it won't just connect two nations, it will redraw the map. In a world increasingly shaped by infrastructure, pipelines, fiber corridors, high-speed rail, this tunnel could become the linchpin of a new transcontinental axis, one that moves people, goods, and ideas across the Mediterranean without touching water. It would link Casablanca to Paris, Dakar to Berlin, and eventually Africa to the rest of Eurasia via high-speed rail. It would also be a symbolic reversal. For centuries, the strait was a barrier to migration, to trade, to connection. But with this tunnel, it becomes a bridge, a literal passageway between continents that, despite their proximity, have rarely stood on equal footing. And that's what makes the Gibraltar Tunnel more than an engineering marvel. It's an experiment in trust, one that could either redefine regional cooperation or disappear, again, into the archives of what could have been. And at the end of the day, maybe the boldest engineering isn't physical, it's political. We've built bridges longer, tunnels deeper, and megaprojects bigger. But few carry as much symbolic weight as this one. The Strait of Gibraltar has divided continents for millennia. Now, with $10 to $15 billion, political will, and engineering audacity, it may finally unite them. So the question isn't just, can it be done? It's, will the world be brave enough to build it? If you found this project fascinating, subscribe to Structures Unchained, and tell us in the comments, would you ride a train from Europe to Africa? Because the world's next frontier might start beneath your feet.